Hi everyone, we are going to show you an Angular tutorial about routing and navigations by example with me, DDJ, the author of gmail.com. The Angular Age router uses to navigate between views or pages that trigger by the user's actions. Its standard behavior in the web application, PWA, or mobile apps. The navigations or view changes happens when the user clicks on the link, click on the button, or enter the URL from the browser address bar. Every view change can bring the params of data from the previous view to the next view. Table of contents. Preparations. Simple Angular routing. Angular wildcard route. Angular routing and navigation for modular web application. Angular route parameters. Add Angular animation to the routed component. In this tutorial, we will implement Angular routing and navigation starting with the simple web application navigation of just a few pages or views. Then continue with more views and nested views completed with send or get params, animated transitions, child routing, etc. Preparation. Following tools, frameworks, libraries, and modules are required for this tutorial. Node.js, Angular Age, Terminal or Command Line, Text Editor or IDE. So make sure all of those items are installed in your machines and ready to run. We assume that you are successfully installing Node.js and have runnable npm command. Then we have to check the right versions for the Node.js and npm commands by opening your terminal or Node.js command line, then type these commands. We are using Node.js versions 10.15.1. We are using npm versions 6.13.1. The Node.js and npm versions that we are using is stable and recommended versions. Next, we have to install Angular CLI by type this command. Now we have the latest versions of Angular when this example was created. Next, create an Angular Age application for this routing and navigation example by typing this command. Answer our questions like below, which we will use Angular routing and SGSS as a style sheet. Next, to sanitize the newly created Angular Age projects, go to that projects folder, then run the Angular application. You will see this page or view when you open or automatically open in localhost colon 4200 in your browser, which means the Angular Age is ready to go. Next, open the Angular application with your favorite IDE or text editor. To use Visual Studio Code, just type these commands after stopping the running Angular application by press Ctrl+C. There is a starting components, app components, HTML as the default root view. This component is default view that trigger from the index HTML using app_root tag and the root of the application URL determined by base href equals / in index HTML. There are also an empty array of routing when you see in is rc app routing modules. Next, we will put a fuse routing and navigation inside that routes array. Simple Angular routing. The simple Angular 8 routing will contain a few pages or views that have the same level each other. We describe the simple Angular routing and navigation by this diagram. From that diagram, we need to create a new components by type this command to generate it using Angular schematics. Now we have a home, about, privacy, and terms folder inside the app folder. Next, we have to add routing for routes components by opening edit is rc app routing module ts. Then add those components imports. Next, add or modify the constant variable of routes by this array of components routes. That means those components are accessible through this URL. All of those components routes wrap inside app component HTML by the line router_outlet/router_outlet. Dynamic views changes inside the router_outlet tag, so we can use the rest of the app component HTML view for the navigation header. We will use the Angular Bootstrap module to make the nice UI or UX. Next, install the ng Bootstrap module using these commands. Next, import to src app module ts. Also add it to ngModules imports array. Add the style sheets reference to the bootstrap style sheets in the index HTML before the closing of the head tag. Next, we have to modify the src app component HTML file to replace all HTML tags except router outlet /router outlet tag. We add the toggle navbar functions to make this bootstrap responsive and the menu working on the thinner width. Open and edit src app component ts. Then add these variables and functions. The navigation works by click on the navigation item and it's done by the angular rotor link. To mark active view in the bootstrap navigation bar, the angular rotor link activates. Just use inline with the rotor link and here's how it works. Angular wildcard route. From the previous example of the simple angular routing, you just can navigate to the routing that defines in the app routing module TS. Unfortunately, when you point to different URLs other than that, view will be redirected to the root URL. If you want to handle invalid URL navigation error, you can redirect the entire undefined router by the wildcard routes that defines with 2 asterisks. Next, open and edit again is RC app routing module TS. Then add these wildcard routes below other routes. So it will look like this. These wildcard routes required a page not found component. For that, generate a new component by this command. Import this component. In its RC app routing module TS file. Make a little modification to the RC app page not found component HTML file by these lines of HTML tags. Now, when you point to the URL http localhost 4200 other page, You will see this view with a button that takes to the home view. Angular routing and navigations for modular web application. For modular web application, Angular routing and navigation configurations can use separate routing file for each module. Let's try by adding two new models using these commands. That commands will generate articles and products modules with their own modules and routing module files. It's also register that module to the src app module ts. But we have to set order of app routing modules to be the last after both added modules. For that, open and edit src app module ts, then modify the ng modules import rise order. You've changed the order of the imports for app routing modules to be the last. Then we can navigate to http localhost 4200 articles because the Angular app catches the wildcard routes first. Next, we will add the list and details views to each module. That commands will automatically be added or registered the components to each module file. So the structure of the whole Angular application will be like this. Angular route parameters. Now we will add a route for each component in each module. The details components route will contain a parameter. For the articles route, open and edit src app articles routing modules. Then add these imports. Add the routes for those components. You can see the parameter in the article/column ID route path. To send parameters to that route, we can use the router link to send data to that params. To do that, open and edit src app articles component HTML. Then add this router link to the anchor. Next, add that article objects to src app articles component ts before the constructor. To read the params that send from the articles view, open and edit src app article details component ts. Then add this import of activated route. Inject that modules to the constructor. Read the ID from the route params using activated routes inside the constructor body. The param set as ID variable, so add an ID variable before the constructor. Next, we can display the route params that get using activated routes to the details view. Open and edit src app articles details components HTML, then change the HTML tags to these lines of HTML tags. In an alternative way, we can navigate from articles to article details view with params programmatically using TypeScript code. Add imports of Angular routes to src app articles component ts. Inject the router to the constructor. Add the functions to navigate to the article details. Next, change the router link to click attribute in the src app articles component HTML. Next, you can do the same way to the products module, then add the navigation menu of products to src app component HTML. Add angular animations to the rotate components. The example that shows above has no transitions. For that, we have to add angular animations to make an animated navigation transitions. Transitions with animations can be applied to each component. Next, open and edit src app module ts, then add this import of browser animation module. Add to ng module imports after browser module. We will add the transitions to only the articles module. For that, open and edit src app articles routing module ts. Then modify the root variable to add animation as a data field. Next, create the src app animation ts file. To configure the animation style, then fill that file with these TypeScript codes. Add that animation configurations to this RC app component TS by import it first along with the router automate module. Add that animations to the component object. Add the functions to enable an animations on the rotatable animations view. Next, add root animations to the div that wrapped router outlet. Now you will see the animated transitions when going to article details from articles and vice versa. That is the basic angular routing and navigation. For more tips about angular routing, we will write another example about it later. For this example, you can get full article and source code in the description below. If you think this tutorial is useful, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Thank you and see you later.